Hello everyone. It's Thursday, not Wednesday, so no Wisdom Wednesday this week, but how about some thoughts on Thursday? Yeah, well, yesterday got a little away from me and didn't get around to doing a video, so today we're going to do one and thought I would focus in today on taking a little bit of a deep dive into exercise. You know, we talked last week about those things that were going to really help improve our lifespan as well as health span, and exercise was one of those things. So what I'm seeing right now is that a lot of folks are walking but really not getting back to a normal exercise routine. And granted, this is a little bit challenging at this point. Personally, I don't want to go back to a gym and have to wear a mask myself, and have not been able to see my trainer for almost a year, so that's been frustrating. But nonetheless, exercise continues to be a big part of my life, and trying to do all that I can to optimize my health through exercise. Now, when we look at exercise, we're not just looking at cardio, and that's what I'm seeing with a lot of my folks, is that we're just walking, but we're not really addressing one of the most important things as we age, which is maintaining our muscle mass. When you lose this, we call this sarcopenia, and that is one of the things about aging that has major impact on our overall health, is loss of muscle, because that's where our metabolism is, and you don't want to be replacing that muscle with fat, which is what happens as we age. Obviously, our bodies do change a bit. However, we want to continue to maintain that muscle. So as we look at exercise, what do we know about the advantages of exercising? We know that it strengthens our brain and slows aging. It improves longevity as well as decreases our risks for chronic diseases. We know that the data on exercise and what it can do from the standpoint of mood is pretty impressive when you put it up against Prozac and some of the other antidepressants out there, that the data would suggest that it's as good, if not better, than taking any long-term medication. Certainly these are important at some points and can be very helpful for many folks, but exercise certainly has its role in helping with mood and with helping us with depression and anxiety. And lastly, you know, I've been very big on sleep lately, and we know that exercise improves depth and quality of sleep. We know that you can fall asleep faster. In fact, in some studies, the latency period, which is that time it takes to fall asleep, improves by about 50% in folks that are regular exercisers. We know that you can actually sleep a little bit longer, perhaps even 15% longer, and we know that the amount of deep sleep also improves with exercise. So all of these things have great value in terms of our aging process and our health span, as we have come to know about that, and as how I approach our health and wellness is really trying to lengthen that health span as well as our lifespan. So let's dive into this. So what areas of exercise are we looking at? We have cardio, which is going to increase heart rate and get the system definitely going along, getting our system really revved up. We know that it improves blood flow to the brain. So with cardio, what we know is we can increase fat loss by doing more high intensity interval work, and we even get better results when we're fasting. So adding fasting to your program and then exercising on top of that will enhance our ability to get into those fat stores and burn fat for energy. So in doing so, we increase, and doing something like a high intensity interval training, we can get more bang for our buck in less time, which is another great, I think, health hack, if you will, to be able to get more out of less. And what that looks like, and I've got a little handout for many of you that you've seen, is getting your heart rate up and then having time to relax. And what this does is enhances our autonomic nervous system and improves the parasympathetic side of our nervous system, which is our rest and digest. So an easy way to look at a high intensity interval program is anything that you do from a physiologic standpoint that can increase your heart rate. You perform this for say 30 seconds and then you have a 90-second rest period. For instance, if I'm doing this on a treadmill, I will get the treadmill cranked up to maybe 8 or 9 miles an hour, and I'm not a big runner. But what I do is I put my feet on the side and I crank up the treadmill, and then I get on and I run for 30 seconds. And then put my feet on the side for 90. And you do this 8 times. So this is called Sprint 8, and it's a 20-minute workout. So a little 1 or 2 minutes of warm up, 1 or 2 minutes of cool down, and then these 8 intervals, which are 2-minute intervals, and 30 seconds of high intensity work and 90 seconds of recovery. There's lots of ways to do this. It's not just this particular type of interval work. There are shorter ones, 4-minute ones, which is 10 seconds on, 20 seconds off, or 20-10, however you choose to do that. Lots of different ways to do this, but what you're doing is getting your heart rate to maximum benefit, maximum heart rate, and then letting it recover. And it's that recovery period that enhances our parasympathetic tone, which is a very valuable thing to have because so many of us live in fight or flight an awful lot. So this is a really good way to do that. And it's great for cardio. The important thing to know when you do high intensity interval work is that you want to do that perhaps 3 days a week, but you want to have a day of rest in between. So it's not something you want to do every day. And in between, because so many of us, like I said earlier, are losing muscle, you want to do some strength training. Now, not all of us can get to a gym, not all of us have equipment. This is something that you can do even with your own body against just plyometric type work where you're just pushing against yourself, doing push-ups, you're doing lunges. I do wall sits when I brush my teeth in the morning, which helps with my quad tone. So there's ways to build muscle or strengthen muscle without necessarily having to do a lot of heavy lifting. Now, that's certainly a good way to do it, but there's ways to do it. Even just holding a plank is good for upper body and for core, and doing anything that, even with light weights, can be helpful, and anybody can get those, and you can have those in your home. And multiple types of repetitive movements can be very helpful with just even low weights. So now we've looked at cardio, we've looked at strength training, and then lastly is flexibility. And probably the best thing for that is going to be yoga or Pilates. And these are things that you can do even at home with some of the different programs out there. You can sign up. I had a patient in the other day that told me about a great class that she was doing called The Class. And it's just an app, and you sign up and you can do these. And certainly even just local folks around here have programs that you can sign up with, so you don't necessarily have to go anywhere if you're feeling that you would prefer to do this at home. So looking at different things from the standpoint of exercise, we've got cardio, we have flexibility and strength training, and all of these together are great for us, great for brain health, great for our sleep, great for longevity and for cognition. We know that one of the things that exercise does, particularly cardio, is to increase a chemical in the brain called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and that is a chemical that really helps increase blood flow to the brain. It helps with cognition, it helps with focus. So exercising, even for those of you that are working at home, will help you work better and more able to focus with your work. So it would encourage you, even if you're working long hours, take some time to either just get out and run up and down the block or walk around the block. You will be much more productive. So I encourage you to look into that as far as your exercise program is concerned. Just don't want you to let this go in the midst of all this, even though we're getting vaccines out there and the folks have been recovering from this virus. It's still important to make sure that this is part of your normal routine, and make plans for your week on how you're going to make this fit in. Lastly, before I go, I just want to mention I have a colleague that is doing a special fasting program, and it's called Feast to Fast. This is a spiritual type faith-based program that is a fasting program. If you're interested, You would go online to register. It starts on February 17th. It is Feast to Fast. It's F-E-A-S-T, Feast, and then numeral 2, and then fast, FAST.co, and then /Leslie, Leslie. So feasttofast.co/Leslie if you're interested in doing a group program for fasting. I hope you all are continuing to work on fasting and getting into autophagy if you are interested in that. I know we've talked a lot about that, and I think it can be extremely valuable. So, and again, with fasting, we know that when you exercise, you are going to be able to deeper dive into many of your different fat stores if you are fasting. So anyway, just a quick little deep dive into exercise, and hopefully you all can keep that going even in the midst of all this. Have a great week, and we will see you again next week.